Moving on to Group C, this might get a little choppy here. Italy, Ireland, Spain, and Croatia. Each of these teams very, very interesting. Croatia making the semifinals 4 years ago. Ireland with a lot of passion and panache, missing out in the 2010 FIFA World Cup to France with that handball by Thierry Henry. And then, of course, Italy. A lot of match-fixing scandals currently going on with the players and the coach, and then defending champions Spain. Well, what can you say about the trio in midfield, Xavi, Iniesta, and Xavi Alonso? What do we think, guys?
To me, this is the most interesting group. I think you have, obviously, the storyline of the defending champions. No one's ever done the European Championship, the World Cup, and then the European Championship again. So you see Spain, obviously, with a couple key injuries, missing David Villa, missing Puyol. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how they come out of the gates, whether they're going to be slow like they did in the World Cup or whether they're going to come out on fire, and who's really going to score the goals for them. That's my big question. Italy is obviously shambles. Everything is falling apart, it seems, for them. Poor run-up to the tournament. A lot of controversy, a lot of things going on. So how are those players going to handle it? Obviously, you have a lot of experience in that team. Andre Pirlo pulling the strings in midfield for them, but are they going to be able to overcome all that stuff? And then Ireland, as you mentioned, passion, the only MLS player in the tournament, in Robbie Keane. So what is going to be his role for Americans? Obviously, great for us to see. And Croatia in a very exciting team, not with maybe the star power that you have in the other teams, but a very, very solid team. So to me, maybe the most interesting group in the whole tournament.
Looking into it, looking back at the last time the Italians had a match-fixing issue, it turned out well for them in winning the World Cup. And I don't think you can count them out. It's a good rallying cry. Once they get into the tournament and really gets going, it's just them in the game. And at that point, all the controversy prior to the tournament and that's going to happen post-tournament couldn't go away. And I would not be surprised to see Italians make a late run, find a way to kind of get themselves together and really scare some teams as they move on. Don't sleep on the Croatians. They always make a run in big tournaments. They always find a way to score enough goals to pop up and advance out of the group. I would not be shocked to see the Italians and Croatians move on, assuming they can come together and play as a group.
Everybody knows the injury woes of England. I think this is where the group where the injuries are going to play the biggest part. Not having David Villa, which is your goal scorer for Spain at the top, not having your Mr. Everything and Carles Puyol for Spain, I think is going to give them some challenges. I think it's going to really allow some teams that have a little more firepower. I'm not really convinced with Sergio Ramos moving in centrally and Arbeloa being able to move into a right-back role, but that'll make things really interesting. They still have a solid midfield, better than anybody in the world, so I think that's going to give them some opportunity to continue to move forward. And then I look for Croatia to be a team that always shows up and does something with some passion and some pride. Such a small country, they take such pride in their soccer there, and so I'm very certain that they're going to make a run. And then Ireland has a lot to make up for. I think obviously the Henry hand of God play a few years ago certainly has their fans ready for a World Cup and ready to support them, and so I think they're going to come in with a lot of green and a lot of excitement, and I look for them to really challenge.
So, who do we got from this group?
I'm going to go with Spain to win the group and Croatia coming in second.
This is going to probably be one of the surprises. I don't think it is a Spanish year. I think you've seen in Champions League, the game has kind of caught up to them. It's starting to evolve, and the Spanish style right now might be a little bit in question. I think it's the Italians and the Croatians moving on here.
Coming out of this group, I certainly think the Spanish have too much firepower. Their midfield is way too strong, but it's going to be a really interesting matchup as they go against the Italian side that's going to sit back and try to make them do those small passes to get through their midfield. And, a typical Italian defense is sit back very much like Chelsea did, so we could see an excellent rematch of Barcelona-Chelsea, but on a Euro stage. And then I think coming out of the second, I think it's going to be Ireland. I'm looking for them to really pull through. I think that they've got some strong players. Obviously, Robbie Keane's in the twilight of his career going to the MLS, but I think he's going to have a swan song coming out and get them out of the group stages.